Good morning, Westlake. This is Vinny Bravo.
Ben DiGennaro coming to you from the anchor desk. This month we focused on pitching a news story. A pitch is used when trying to persuade someone to buy it or accept something. A good sales pitch to a journalist, producer, or reporter provides the details of a news story or feature and explains briefly why it's interesting to the audience while outlining the newsworthiness factor of the story they are trying to get on the air.
This month we cover topics ranging from music to sports to Bitcoin.
Did you know Brooklyn rapper Bobby Shmurda will be eligible for release as early as February of this year? Ryan Ordonez and I will have more details to follow.
Welcome to the W. I'm Ryan Ordonez.
And Ben DiGennaro.
Brooklyn rapper Bobby Shmurda, who was arrested in 2014, is now eligible for an early release from prison as early February 23rd of this year.
Bobby Shmurda was arrested for conspiracy of playing a lead role in the gang GS9 and possession of weapons. He was sentenced to 7 years in prison, but that sentence was reduced to 5 years after receiving credit for the 2 years he served awaiting trial. He was set to be released in December of 2021.
Shmurda's original parole, which was set in September of 2020, was denied, and he was given a full hold until the maximum expiration of his sentence on December 11th, 2021, as stated by department officials. Shmurda's eligibility for an early release was revoked, unfortunately, due to some disciplinary issues he faced while serving his time in prison. Fortunately, the situation was reviewed by a committee, and his eligibility was restored. If Shmurda walks out of prison a free man come February 23rd, he will serve the rest of his sentence under community supervision until December of 2021.
Shmurda's release has been highly anticipated because of the impact he had with the few songs he wrote in the time he was free. Since then, fans have waited years for his release and new music. Hopefully, by February, Shmurda will be released and will be somewhat close to a free man. It is inciting to think about what is in store for his musical career once his sentence has been served. Back to you in the studio. COVID has had a huge impact on the music industry, affecting everyone from the management to the artist, and even the listeners. Luca Sica and Julian will explain what's going on.
Welcome to the W. I'm Luca Sica.
And I am Julian. COVID has had a huge impact on the music industry, affecting everyone from the managers to the artists and even the listeners.
There have been some changes that musicians have had to make in the past year, with many of them having to stop their tours and stay home. This has had both negative and positive effects.
Take, for example, Gordy Quist from the Band of Heathens, who said that the band's income went to zero because they had to cancel a tour for their new album and other live gigs, which had made him nervous that he would lose his house.
Meanwhile, Lars Ulrich, drummer for the band Metallica, said in an interview with CNBC that the band has accepted that they can't perform to 20,000 or 50,000 people like they usually do.
And they've also made compromises like hosting one of the first drive-in live concerts around the nation. The concert was broadcasted across hundreds of drive-in and outdoor theaters across the United States and Canada.
The performance was filmed prior to the event and then streamed to all these locations on one night. The concertgoers were able to listen to the show through their FM radio or over the faraway speakers.
Drive-in concerts are one way some artists are maintaining revenue, but what about the smaller independent artists?
And most importantly, what about the listeners?
Well, surveys taken in the summer of 2020 show that overall music streaming has dropped by at least 6%.
However, music video streaming has risen at least 8%. This shows that people don't want to just listen to music while locked in their homes. They want to watch something with it.
So what does this data mean? It means that artists are going to have to start getting creative and producing content to accompany their audio. The music industry is changing in many ways, and it's changing fast.
So artists need to adjust or they won't be able to keep up. This has been Luca Sica.
And this is Julian, back to you in the studio.
Did you know early January it was announced that Kim Kardashian and Kanye West have filed for a divorce? Out to Sarah Lynch with more.
Welcome to the W. I'm Sarah Lynch. Did you know early January it was announced that Kim Kardashian West and Kanye West have filed for divorce? According to sources, they have been living separately. In the last few months, a friend of Kardashian West told CNN they have been in marriage counseling and have discussed divorce. It's on the table. They are currently living separately, with Kanye living in their home in Wyoming, Kim living in California with their children. The pair became friends in 2003, began dating in 2012 before marrying in 2014 and have 4 children together, North, Saint, Chicago, and Psalm West. Back in July of 2020, in a series of now-deleted tweets, Kanye tweeted about divorcing Kardashian, writing that he was wanted to divorce his wife for a while now. and back when Kanye said he would run for president in 2020, Kim threatened to divorce him. After 6 years of marriage, you would think this couple was truly in love, but I'm sad to say they're not. This has been Sarah Lynch with the W. Back to you in the studio.
Do you know what Bitcoin is? Bitcoin is a virtual currency that people mine virtually using special computers. Here's Matt Lass with more information.
The price of Bitcoin has risen 2,000% since 2017, beginning at a little $1,300, now over worth $40,000. Hello, I'm Matthew Last. Welcome to the W. What is Bitcoin? It is a type of cryptocurrency that is a digital created in 2009 following the housing market crash. Bitcoin mining is the process of creating new Bitcoin by solving a computation puzzle in an effort to confirm groups or transitions called blocks. Upon success, these blocks are added to the blockchain record and the miners are rewarded with a small number of Bitcoin. Other participants in the Bitcoin market can buy or sell tokens through cryptocurrency exchanges to peer-to-peer. It takes up to $8,000 to mine more than one Bitcoin, which is still extremely profitable with today's value. At the beginning of the year, Bitcoin was just under $9,000 and now it's worth over $35,000. 2 weeks ago, on January 12th, Bitcoin went down over $8,000, which many investors expected this to happen and say it was readjusting its value to the recent growth. I'm at the last, and back to the studio.
Do you know how New York City had ties to the Underground Railroad? Now out to Ray and Matt to talk about the landmark buildings left standing in Brooklyn since the Civil War.
Did you know New York City has ties to the Underground Railroad? Hi, I'm Ray Lubrino.
And I'm Sardo.
And you're watching The W. The Underground Railroad is a name given to the network of safe houses provided to runaway slaves as they traveled northward in the 19th century. And not surprisingly, very few of the homes linked to the movement are still standing. This specific home left standing in Brooklyn, New York, is a checkpoint home for the Underground Railroads. New York State wanted to get rid of these landmarks as they have previously done in the past. Historians say it is the only one left and it should be left standing as is.
This landmark is a remembrance of the railroads and the people involved. It has a big meaning to the history of New York because it is one of the few things left standing from before the Civil War. The house still stands with only minor imperfections left. The home was owned by a family who were in support of a group who helped free slaves. Sometimes when slaves escaped from their owners, warrants for them would be called, and they sometimes were hunted by white supremacists. These homes ensured that any freed slave would not be brought back and would live a happier life up north. Mayor Bill de Blasio wanted to make room for housing, but historians said this building meant more than housing. Since the article came out, there has been no further say of it. The building will stay or not, but likely it will become a landmark in Brooklyn, New York. It is important to keep this house still standing because it is an important part of American history. There are plenty of people who would get upset if they got rid of this house.
This has been Ray Lubrino.
And Matt Sardo reporting from the W. Back to you in the studio.
This year's college football national championship game featured the Alabama Crimson Tide and the Ohio State Buckeyes. If you watched the game, I am sure you noticed that there were restrictions and problems with the game due to COVID-19. Here's Stephen Pryor and Marc Denunzio with more.
I'm Marc Denunzio.
I'm Stephen Pryor.
Did you see the national championship game? If so, I am sure you noticed there were restrictions and problems with the game due to COVID-19. While Alabama reigned supreme again, there was much more to the postseason than just the college football playoffs. Each game season is tied in with beating the odds, yet 2020 increased current standards. Ohio State battled against COVID the whole season and still won, yet that was truly just the start. The Buckeyes went up to a large part of the year doing all that could be within reach to keep the infection out of Woody Hayes Athletic Center.
There were reports that the Buckeyes were going to seek to delay the game due to COVID-19. Each game season is tied with them beating the odds, yet 2020 increased the current standards. The COVID-19 pandemic affected all sports, yet explicitly college football, and significantly more the Big Ten, who did not have appropriate COVID protocols. There were only 14,000 people allowed into the stadium compared to the normal 65,000 that would usually be there. Traditionally, the field is mobbed with companions, family, media, picture takers, but that was not possible this year due to restrictions.
Though this year did not turn out as we would like to have, Alabama beat Ohio State 52-24. I'm Marc Denunzio.
I'm Stephen Pryor. Back to you guys in the studio.
The playoffs are finally here, and what a series it has been. Who will win it all? The AFC features the Chiefs, Browns, Ravens, Steelers, Titans, Bills, and Colts. The NFC features the Packers, Bears, Saints, Buccaneers, Seahawks, and Rams. Here's Jack Panzarella with the predictions.
Hello everybody, my name is Jack Panzarella from Westlake High School, and you're watching The W. The NFL playoffs are finally here. The AFC features the Chiefs, Browns, Ravens, Steelers, Titans, and Bills. The NFC features the Bears, Packers, Saints, Buccaneers, Seahawks, and Rams. MVPs like Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, and many more are in this year's playoffs. And that is including other great players that have great seasons this year, including Derrick Henry, Aaron Donald, Russell Wilson, Josh Allen, and Travis Kelce. The next games will be played on January 6th and 17th. Chiefs vs. Browns, Ravens vs. Bills, Packers vs. Rams, and Saints vs. Buccaneers. My prediction to win these games are the Chiefs beating the Browns, the Ravens beating the Bills, the Packers beating the Rams, and the Saints beating the Buccaneers. My final prediction for the NFC Championship is the Packers beating the Buccaneers. My prediction is for the Chiefs to beat the Bills. And finally, for the Super Bowl, my prediction is that the Green Bay Packers will win the Super Bowl against the Chiefs. This has been Jack Panzarella from the W, signing off.
The Cleveland Browns shocked football fans all around the country when they defeated the Steelers, even though they were missing key players and staff due to COVID-19. The Cleveland Browns shocked football fans all around the country. Welcome to the W. I'm Vinny Bravo. A few weeks ago, the Browns were able to defeat the Steelers in the first round of the playoffs, 48-37, even though they were missing key players and staff. The Browns became the first team to score 28 points in the first quarter of a playoff game since the Oklahoma Raiders did so in 1969. Due to the coronavirus, head coach Kevin Stefanski wasn't able to be on the sideline with his team. Pro Bowl left guard Joel Bitonio and cornerback Denzel Ward weren't able to play in Sunday's game. In the past, the team hasn't been very good. The last time they made an appearance in the playoffs was 1994. So for the Browns to have players and their head coach missing and other staff and still be able to beat the Steelers was definitely a big accomplishment. The Browns have been dealing with COVID-19 related issues within the organization for about 3 weeks before the playoffs, starting with a positive test that became known hours before the team was ready to travel to New Jersey to play the Jets in Week 16. Cleveland lost their entire receiving corps for that game. The Browns did advance to the next round of the playoffs to play the Kansas City Chiefs, but they did end up losing and getting knocked out. So although their playoff journey ended short, they still shocked football fans everywhere. This has been Vinny Bravo, back to you in the studio. The NFL community became witnesses to an historical broadcasting event that has never been seen. Nickelodeon, a classic kids network, hosted the wildcard game between the New Orleans Saints and the Chicago Bears. Stephen Ojeda goes more in depth on how unique the collaboration was.
Welcome to W. I'm Stephen Ojeda. The NFL community became witness to an historic broadcasting event that's never been seen before. Nickelodeon, a classic kids network, hosted the wildcard game between the New Orleans Saints and Chicago Bears.
Oh boy, I can't wait to watch football.
Me either, but what is football, SpongeBob?
I have no idea, but Sandy sure seems excited. Maybe she can explain it.
Yee-haw! Let's let the old pigskin around the gridiron!
CBS Sports and Nickelodeon got families and kids to tune in to this special presentation of this wildcard game on Sunday, January 10th. The wildcard game overall was a massive success, bringing a larger demographic. Children who may have not watched sports previously tuned in, the children of those parents, along with other kids that enjoy sports with their parents, and the original group that watches the games. ESPN writer Tim Cohen said that this game was the most fun game of the year, as well as other websites and analysis such as Yahoo Sports, CNN Sports, all agreed on the success. With the success of this match, many different sports writers, analysis, and other fans questioned for a possible return of Nickelodeon to broadcast again in the near future. Many different Nickelodeon characters were present during the broadcast in the game, such as SpongeBob, Jimmy Neutron, Lincoln Loud, Ninja Turtles, Patrick Star, and many others. After the Saints' victory, head coach Sean Payton became witness and was televised with a Nickelodeon slime after their win. The on-field graphics and televised edits during the game was very interesting, as Nickelodeon characters were shown next to each players with comparisons, or after each score, the players would pop out or there'd be slime. And it was a one-of-a-kind experience, especially for the younger children. The importance of the overall broadcast was the fact that it brought a sport or football, and it introduced it to all these children throughout this course. It made watching football more fun and entertaining, leading towards a larger group. The reason why people should pay interest to this is that it's another way to watch NFL playoff games with the overall intensity and entertainment, and it makes it more presumably enjoyable. In result, the game was a massive success on Twitter and many other social media outlets, as it became the massive talk, was #1 trending on Twitter and massive on Instagram. Many fans and social media influencers wanted a second broadcast and hoping there is one, not only for the NFL, but also for other possible broadcasting events such as NBA games, other sports games as well. This is Steven Ojeda with the W, signing off.
We close this episode with Dom DiMiceli and a story about the Mets joining the World Series race following the blockbuster trade acquiring shortstop Francisco Lindor and pitcher Carlos Carrasco.
Welcome to the W. I am Dom DiMiceli. The Mets are joining the World Series race following the blockbuster trade acquiring shortstop Francisco Lindor and pitcher Carlos Carrasco, in return for infielders Andres Jimenez and Ahmed Rosario. The Indians also got minor league pitcher Josh Wolf and outfielder Isaiah Green. Jared Porter, former Mets general manager, said, "We acquired Francisco because of his present ability and the possibility that he could be a Met long term." Team president Sandy Alderson said, "We gave up a lot of control for short-term control, but I think we're comfortable with that and what we might be able to do going forward." Many ESPN analysts are saying this was a great trade for the Mets, because they believe Lindor to be the best shortstop in the MLB. According to Jeff Passan,
"This is a deal for the Mets that positions them as a team that wants to win a championship. This is Steve Cohen going and saying, I want the best players in baseball to come to New York. And I don't mean the Bronx, I mean Flushing, Queens."
This trade helps both sides because it makes the Mets World Series competitors, and it gives Cleveland top prospects and helped clear up payroll to sign future free agents. This has been Dom DiMiceli. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks for watching. This has been Ben DiGennaro
and Vinny Bravo with the W.